Hello to everyone. We are at the second seminar of the series ESIC, organized by the UNESCO Chair of Trento. So first, thank to all the PhD students, teaching assistants, and researchers that worked on the organization of all these days. And a big thanks to the speakers of today for the seminar named Country Mapping, Co-Creation of Knowledge, that are Francesco and Edoardo from the Climate Justice Center here from the University of Padua, and Gabriela and Helena that are speaking from online from Mexico. They're part of, and they will say us more about this one, part of collective of women geographers working with population and communities in Mexico. The seminar of today, it's about country mapping, let's say a branch of what is critical mapping. We need to know about this one, that mapping is for sure a really powerful tool, and to use it and to develop it in a, let's say, counter-hegemonic way to help from the ground indigenous population community from the geographical south to the geographical north of the world. It's for sure an interesting issue to go through. And this was the idea of the planning of the construction of this seminar. And so both of the groups of speakers will propose us their case studies in different parts of the world, from Mexico to Ecuador to Padua. And that's it. So I will leave the floor to Francesco and Edoardo, that will do the first speech, and then to Gabriela and Helena. So enjoy the seminar, and thank you to everybody.
And brief disclaimer: we decided to make this presentation very short and condensed, because we have not so much time, and we want to leave the floor to our nuestras compañeras from Mexico, that we think are a very good opportunity to be listened, and because we are in presence. So maybe if you want to understand something more about the lot of things we will present, we can speak later, like after we have finished. So we will go a bit fast over some things, just to say that, and that you can feel free to ask us later. Okay, so we are Francesco Facchinelli and Edoardo Crescini from the Climate Justice Center of the University of Padova. And well, with this, actually, I leave the floor to Edoardo for the first part of the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Francesco. Thank you, Chiara, for all the presentation. Here is our research group, Climate Change, Territory and Diversity, of the Environmental, Civil and Architectural Engineering Department of University of Padua. Even if all of us are geographers with different backgrounds, someone is more naturalistic, some others is urban planner, and other architectural. But our main research is focused on participatory mapping and involvement in territorial process within the movements, to imagine and go beyond this extractivism process, like leaving fossil fuel underground in sensitive places, or imagine different type of city. Now I will present you some methodology, and then we enter in the practices example. Our approach is use the typical instrument of GeoScience. So it's based on an investigation using a GeoScience instrument, and the methodology we usually call double P. So pixel and people. With pixel, we refers to remote sensing. So all the instrument, technological, innovative geographic tools that we can use, and that now are very implemented in the sense of technology. So satellite platform that we have many example from the Sentinel till Landsat, conventional aerial surveys that is possible to have asking to the region, and then the famous case of drones that is very important instrument to monitoring and survey in an independent mode by movements or researcher inside and on the top of the territory, and then the people, because it's very important to understand that the pixel is something that arrive from an algorithmic and something that it's elaborate from a machine, no? So it's there is something under that kind of pixel that have that kind of values, and that the things that is under the pixel is the communities, people, movements, litigation process that are stay in the ground. And as geographer, for us, it's very important combining these two dimensions, and how to do that, combining with the citizen science. So involve the citizen and, for example, students in implementing participatory mapping or GIS participatory activities and something like that. Okay. And here I put some types of technology that we usually use in our analysis, from GPS till the unmanned aerial vehicle or drones. The three characteristics that for me is very important. The first is that are location based. So every data have geolocalized in the space, have coordinates, and this is very important because you create like an evidence in that in a specific point. Another type is that with the satellite, we are not only see the visible range of human perspective, but we can also have monitoring of, for example, air quality. I think some of you can, in the past days, see the famous map of Milan produced by EASA. This is possible because satellite have sensors that go beyond our high visible, and so I think it's very important. And the third stuff is that the possibility to have like a synoptic view. So not only leave the territorial process from the ground, but also understand what is called like the fly of Icarus, and understand how the process and territorial process from above go and implement in the territory. And so geodata have different sources. For example, direct download from institutional, like the regional geoportal, or spatial data infrastructure. But today we want to show you how the creation of our own data on the ground, with movements, with people that know what passed in the territory, and this is I said the information that we mentioned before, that the people know the information that stay in the territory and that are bring by communities, that plus all these kind of knowledge, direct download and other infrastructure could imagine different type or path of development in our territories.
Yeah, and then just a few words, very few words on methodological approaches to participation. I just wanted to show you some, and this is only some of the various approaches that are used in participatory mapping right now. And I'm sure that I'm missing a lot. There are some which are more counter-hegemonic, for instance, participatory GIS, or more like from institutions like public participation GIS. Some are less geographically based, okay, for instance, extreme citizen science or activist research. Some are very specific and adapted to some context, like the tracking science, which was designed for with some Aboriginal communities in Australia, and yeah, just to show you a bit of this panorama and give you a bit of references so that later maybe you can investigate on your own. And in the end, for sure, knowing about those approaches, I think it's important and can give you as practitioners like very useful reflection. However, more than that, I think that there are some critical questions which are like which can be applied to all the participatory mapping processes that you are carrying on, and that anyway should be considered. There is this paper which is a bit old, but I think is very good, which reports a wider set, but I think that those are particularly interesting. For instance, you should think about who is taking the decisions about who can participate, who has the possibility to speak, and whose voice is not taken in account. Okay, when you develop a participatory mapping process, because those are forces that are in every case in the field, and that will shape the process and the results. For instance, it is for us one crucial thing is who identifies the problems which should be addressed during the participatory mapping, because I, as a researcher that comes from the outside, cannot know what the local people need, and those should try to understand what science they are giving you their time, they are spending their time, and they are putting their knowledge of the territory at the service of the mapping. It's crucial that this process has an outcome for them. Okay, otherwise you risk to make processes that are disempowering, or at least not a waste of time for local communities. So, well, there is a lot of steps. Now I will not go through all of them, but also very small things like who decides the legend of the map that you are producing, or who is able to access the physical output that is produced from the mapping. Okay, like if I am creating a super wonderful web visualization of the map, but the local communities cannot access them because their smartphone is from 2010. Okay, I'm making an example. What I'm doing may be the most wonderful thing, but for them it's completely unuseful. Okay, so we should work with this kind of perspective and be very careful on that. And yeah, I don't want to. Well, we can go later on this step maybe. So
continuing to summarize all this theoretical part is that us, like researcher, have the information of how to use technologies like GIS and ICT technologies and drones, for example, to produce geodata. But in the territories with communities with movement, there is the knowledge, and the fusion of the two create interactive knowledge, and we have the community now that it's in that sense. Have also the power from the communities and movement to create litigation when there is a sacrifice area produced by extractivism, like from the example of fossil fuel. Now we work on as a research group on two research topics. I will explain urban sustainability, and then Francesco move to the case of Ecuador. Only to brief geographical framework. This is the Padova, localized in the northeast of Italy, Veneto region, middle-sized European cities, about 90 kilometers, square kilometers, and 200,000 citizens. we have a important problem of soil sealing in Padua, but in general in Italy, that is one of the most big challenge that I think we have to face, like Italian nation. The soil sealing is when you transform a green space in an impervious one. So use concrete or cement, and as you can see, like half of the territory of Padua is like sealed impervious, as you can see on the map. With the red is totally impervious, and then on green there is like green areas, which is not all the green that you see. It's not all public, but there is also the private one used for producing agriculture. So it's very interesting, and the fact that we are in a climate crisis, all this concrete produce flooding, urban island, and affect on human well-being. So since like 10 years ago, we decided to implement the GIS lab or tech lab with citizens, with students, to implement their knowledge on GIS science instrument, but also thinking in another way of the city. So, for example, where there is the empty spaces in our territory, this is, I think, one of the most important things when we talk about soil sealing, because every year you see different changing in the city for new blocks, new neighborhood, new roads, but there is still full of empty spaces. So we are trying to GeoCitizen platform to map in this Map for You project, that is an Erasmus Plus K3 of the Erasmus Plus Pound, the previous one. And we collect data of like 80 empty spaces with the collaboration of Padova municipality. So the idea is like our data is accessible to all, also because municipality can see where there is the empty spaces and maybe try to regenerate, reuse, and not building new blocks and more impervious surface. Also, to be more inclusive, we use also classic cartography to make like mapping with the citizens, because the technological issue is sometimes a bit like a barrier, not for all participants. So to make more inclusive, we have also activities like that with urban walks to understand the transformation now, where maybe in some areas there is green parks and then there is the blocks. And so maybe try also to understand how the cities change in the year through satellite and aerial imaging, to produce data for a different perspective and critical thinking about our city. In the same way, we produce another project like for mapping green areas, and this was very interesting because from the student we have different perspective. Like for example, that one is the requalification of a green parks where there is a lot of local biodiversity, which could bring different type of tourism, for example, and we map in that case 80 places where we can use green space, or where there is like empty green spaces or abandoned green spaces that can use to make activities. Padova is like have 60,000 students, so it's something that green spaces also for the well-being of citizens, it's very important. And the platform that we use is like a GeoCitizen platform that is free to the one who want to collaborate, but to have a channel you have to pay, unfortunately. But it's very interesting because it's I call a web framework social in a geographic sense. So in the sense that you can fill in the surface with sharing your ideas and located on the ground. So you have this kind of map where there is all the points, as you can see there. And inside the map, you can put photos, but also have like a sort of post, like Facebook and Instagram. So you can share if there is best practices, use like a model for the cities. for maybe, yeah, in these green spaces, communities create an urban garden or create a sense of community, we can reuse it. Or maybe if there is a problem, so there is nobody in these green spaces, we can use it for, I would say, jogging activities. And in that sense, the people can like your post or comment. And inside the platform, there is also the decision maker. So we can start like a discussion inside the post, inside something that is geolocated. So we know it's not like, yeah, we have, we need more spaces. You know where there is the space. In discussing, looking forward to manage in a better way the green areas of Padova municipalities. And the last part of our practices and mapping activities inside Padova is the cycle path. So during the year 2017 and 60, we mapped with the citizen all the cycle path. Here you have the map, how to the municipality implement the cycleway, if there is like an obstacle, if there is no bike ranks or stuff like that. So maybe someone who leaves the city with the bike, that in Padua there is like most of the students live with the bike. It's so important also in that sense, no? Start to create a better cycle path to say people, okay, don't use car to move alone, but maybe use cycle, because we are in Padua, that is middle side. So with the bike, you can go everywhere. And in that sense, we use another type of platform that is ONA, where you can create your form with your questions and different type, for example, multiple selection, or locating the point, take the position, or write answer, and use ODK Collect directly with your phone, your smartphone, to create all these points, and so take points and evidence about where is the problem of my cycle path. Maybe there is an obstacle. I moving with my bike in this path, but at the end there is no path anymore. So there is something that blocks. And I think this kind of thing it's very interesting. You have like a sort of display of the app, and it's very interesting because you can create with the citizen the type of survey that we need to collect data, and then we ODK collect in real time with the smartphone. You can take point around the city during your day and collect data to like or create this evidence to imagine different type of, now we call it smart city. And here we have some scientific paper that we have published during the year, bringing like the practices and example that are in the previous slide. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Edoardo. Okay, so now we move to the Amazon in Ecuador. Okay, Ecuador is in the north western part of the Amazon region, and it's a small part actually of the world rainforest. Anyway, it has a crucial role in conserving the biodiversity. There you can find an image from a piece on paper from 2010. Which shows that in this small part, okay, which is the Amazonian rainforest of Ecuador, there is an overlap of biodiversity in 4 different taxes. Despite that, it is also an area of oil extraction. All the red lines that you are seeing are oil blocks. Okay, the green parts are biosphere reserve. And this part here, this part here is an area to for the conservation of uncontacted indigenous population. Well, these of course are not the uncontacted per se, but they are like their cousins, and yeah. So sorry. anyway, this overlap of different issues creates a lot of critical, a lot of environmental conflicts in the territory between indigenous communities and oil extraction companies, between conservation NGOs and oil companies, between conservation NGOs and indigenous people. It's very complicated. Anyway, our research focuses on the issue of gas flaring that in that area are called mecheros petroleros, and are those flames that you can see there. They basically this phenomenon happens because along with oil extraction, there is extracted also methane, which is the same gas that you are using every day to cook your food, okay, in your kitchen. And anyway, since it is not economically convenient to commercialize, it is burned. And this, of course, has a wide set of global impacts on climate change, for sure, but also a lot of local impacts. And as we will see later, some are also very contextualized. And but that include, of course, heat islands, acid rains, and the emission of a wide set of contaminants in the air that then goes in the rainwater, that then goes in the soil. So it's a very kind of very wide affectation. Okay. Then the main point of our work was around the campaign Apaguen los Mecheros. The campaign Apaguen los Mecheros is a set of NGOs, religious organization, indigenous organization, which all came together in order to ask the ban of gas flaring sites from the Ecuadorian Amazon region. It started in 2018, and in 2019 we started with we actually started with a very small project from National Geographic, like, I don't know, less than 10,000 euros, to make you understand. For who makes projects, this is a very, very small budget to make field work in the Amazon forest. And our idea actually in the beginning was simply to validate the satellite data. Okay. When we arrived there, and we had the previous contacts with that local organization, and we understood that for them, the crucial thing was not to validate some satellite data. Okay. This is why, and now I'm reconnecting with the part that I shared with you before, that it's crucial to understand what the people that are giving you their time and that are working with you, what they are needing. Okay. In that case, we in the end decided to start with the first step of this work, which was to develop the first independent mapping of all the gas flaring sites in the Amazon rainforest, because this was what they needed. Okay. And then there are further steps that we will see later. Okay. Because then the participatory process required to make some more things, basically. Those two steps include the elaboration of risk scenarios and the analysis and critical review of some report produced from the Ministry of Energy. But we will see it later. In the first phase of our work, we combined actually local knowledge with satellite imagery, what Edoardo was saying before. We had some points from the satellite, and of course, we went to all these points to validate them. But we found that local communities and our local collaborators had a lot more gas flaring sites to be mapped. So we used a participatory mapping approach using QField, ODK, and ONA, which are tools that maybe later we will be able to see. And we developed a very simple data acquisition system, combining photos, spatial data, and some additional information. And then we started with the participatory mapping. The first phases were developed with the Unión de los Afectados para Texaco, which were one of the NGOs involved in the campaign, and then they supported us in going in the communities and get the access also to gas flaring sites, and knowing, of course, the location. But in most of the cases, also the issue of accessibility to the sites was critical. In many cases, we had to fly the drone because you could not pass the checkpoint of the oil company. Okay. Or having the community with you was the difference between having your drone like sequestrated and not. Okay. This kind of thing. And then part of our work, and we are very happy of that, was sharing with the collaborators from the Unión de los Afectados para Texaco how the mapping process worked. So in many cases, after we went away, they could go on with the participatory mapping. So in the end, we mapped 295 gas flaring sites, but for a total of 448 specs, and 4 of those gas flaring sites were in the core area of the Yosemite Biosphere Reserve. Well, this is simply the map of all the gas flaring sites, as you can see. And one of the interesting things is that comparing this data with the data from the satellite, we had something like 3 times from the annual data set from the NOAA. Okay, so it is a huge difference. And the second interesting thing is that we had like the double of the Ecuadorian Ministry of the Environment. So it was really groundbreaking being able to identify all those sites. And the collaboration with local communities actually allowed us also to identify some additional impacts. The first one is a site which is not maintained, and so it's venting the gas in the air. The second case are some insects which are attracted from light, and this is what I speak about when there are very site-specific impacts. Okay, because you are in one of the most biodiverse areas in the world, and you have insects that at night go toward a giant flame and get dried up, and you have like tons of them. Okay, and then this is on a finca of a farmer, because sometimes oil goes in the flow with the gas, and it's like thrown out and flies for maybe 100 meters up to the finca of the farmer, which supposedly should eat what grows in that finca. Okay, so I will speed up a bit because I think that we are out of time. And well, we of course made some different steps of restitution and dissemination, starting with a report. Then in that point, they included our data and presented a protective action, it's called, to ask the ban of gas flaring sites in the Amazon, in the Ecuadorian Amazon region, which is like a legal action, okay, to make you understand. And yeah, they started with that in 2021, and sorry, they won in 2021, and anyway, the work did not finish because basically the ruling was not very clear, because it said that there were 18 months for all the gas flaring sites near populated centers, and then up to 2030 to all the other gas flaring sites, which for a geographer, this is like making a huge difference without a really huge time difference, without a really clear boundary, okay? Because what is near a populated center, what is near and what is a populated center in a context where there are no site-specific metrics of impacts and where you have a lot of diffused indigenous communities, are two concepts which are really not clear. So in order to support the work and the further step of the legal action, we made some impacts estimation between trying to see the proximity between different ways to conceive the urban center, for instance, including indigenous communities, and their proximity with gas flaring sites. This allowed us to quantify the number of populated centers. Well, firstly, to identify the gas flaring sites which were posing at risk at least one populated centers, which, spoiler, are like 294 of 295. So basically, there was only one which was not near enough to don't pose a potential threat. Okay. And then one very interesting thing that emerged from this study, I think, is that there are populated centers that have like 18 gas flaring sites in a 5-kilometer radius. So there, and this is something that we didn't think about how account for, because this means that the level of threat actually is increasing. And then we made some impact estimation regarding the 4 main urban areas in the region, and then we calculated the number of residents which are potentially affected, making a proportion with between the built area and the number of residents in the city. And we found that in the worst case scenario, 100,000 people are at risk from gas flaring activities. And yeah, well, I think that I will skip the last part because I think that we are really out of time. Just a final consideration. Our work, well, if I should give you an advice, I have not like a golden rule that you can follow blindly, and yeah, to develop a good participatory mapping process. But I think that working very horizontally and in close contact with the local communities and trying to understand their needs is what allows us to democratize science first, and then to produce science which is linked to the ground and that is useful to the local process toward environmental justice, toward climate justice, and that. Otherwise, I personally feel a lot the risk of making works which maybe they get published and they in the academic context you can have a lot. Then I close, I promise. You may find a lot of appreciation and sell it super well in the academic context, but the issue is what I am contributing to in the ground, what I am making happen with my science, no? Something like that. And well, there are some scientific papers, and then at the end of the presentation, you will find some geo tools that I catalogated. Sorry, this was another project, but we don't have time for that. But there you can find some application for participatory mapping that may be useful to you. Okay, that's it. And with that, I leave the floor to the GeoBrujas. Thank you. Gabi?
Okay.
Gabi, if
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Okay.
Want to share? We are waiting for it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
I
you
will
so-
share my screen.
Thank you, Francesco and Edoardo. And thank you, Gabi and Helena from GeoBrujas Collective.
Yeah, we
Here.
will keep the questions for
Yeah,
the end of the other presentation.
okay.
yeah, maybe in the question part, focus on them because we can speak also later. But with them, you have them only online, so you can focus their questions on that. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Francisco.
Gabi, when you want.
We see you and hear you really well.
Okay. Yeah, just a little bit strange because I cannot see the people, so I don't know with whom I am talking. Okay, thank you. Yeah, hello everybody. We are Gabriela and Karla from GeoBrujas. GeoBrujas means something like geo witches. We are in Mexico right now and we work in Mexico. We are a community of women geographers, and we will present you a little bit of our work, why we think that we are doing counter mapping, and why we are doing maybe other things that maybe are not counter mapping, maybe are alter mapping, but we will explain it during the presentation. And what is important for us is this building of a community of geographers, of women geographers. We are working, we started 10 years ago here in Mexico. We were studying and we were seeing that there were a lot of injustice, not just inside the university, as well in our country, and against women and against students. And we thought, we were asking ourselves, what is our role, what we have to do as women, as women, as geographers, to change a little bit these conditions of inequality, of injustice, of oppression, of violence. And we were not clear what we can do, but we were clear that we have to do it together, that we have to be for each other, that this will be the only way to build another geography, a geography that don't respond just to the universities and to the time to the universities and to the patriarchal forms of thinking in social science. So we started with thinking about our territories and to think about the things that could be important for women and could be important in the relationship between space, gender, space and gender. So it is our search. It is not easy, but it is what we do, and we work a lot with workshops. This is the way we do it, not in long process, but in concentrated workshops, hours of experiences with people, mainly with women, but also with students and other people. And we were in this time, or in this search that we have asked ourselves, how can we do it? How can we show these denied territorialities? How can we show this relationship between space and gender, and the power relationships between that? And so we found the cartography as a language, as a way to show all these relationships and as a way to explore them too. But we discover also that these territorialities of women and the things that were important for us were not easy to show in the conventional cartography. So we had to explore other methodologies, and we came from different contexts. We are 7 GeoBrujas, 7 members, women of this community, and we all have different histories and different abilities too. And inside of these abilities were also the other methodologies, like art, like dance, and other things that are now also part of our methodologies. And so when we were discussing what were the difference maybe or between counter cartography and alter cartography, because we thought when we think about counter cartographies, it is like against something. And this against something is indeed against the power relationships and the system and the patriarchal and all these things that we don't want to have and we don't want to reproduce. But also, we want to do something different. So we thought about alter cartographies maybe, but it depends always. It depends on your objective, what do you want to do, and with whom do you want to do it, and which is the context, and how you can do it. So we think it is not opposite. There are just different ways of doing a critical cartography, and mainly it means to use the cartography's qualities and the conviction that the cartography has a power. It's to use this for the, in this case, for the feminist objectives, and to show all these inequalities. So that for this reason we came to this conviction of subvert the maps and change the direction with a feminist outlook. So and this exploring these methodologies, we came to body mapping, and I will ask Karla to talk you about this.
Gracias, Gaby. Pues hola, ¿qué tal? Mucho gusto a todas las que están por allá. It's very nice to be here with you. I will talk about body mapping, and are these corpocartografías que en México tenemos muchos años trabajando. Entonces, bueno, les voy a platicar. Bueno, a ver. These exercises are a form of alphabetization. Well, it's just a form of name this. It's create collaborative counter cartographies in which the participants are the ones who decide how to represent, symbolize, and reflect from their own bodies. A feminist genealogy sometimes arises from a consciousness of one's feminine lineage in order to recognize where they themselves are situated, what their origins are, and how to get a little closer to the roots of their own history. Esta foto, this photo is from San Gregorio Atlapulco, Xochimilco, and it's from one of the first workshops I shared with GeoBrujas, accompanying Frida Rivera's thesis research, along with Karina Flores, another member of GeoBrujas. Esto es en Estado de México. And this was a body mapping working with women defenders of the territory and also medical herbalists. So what we do in these workshops? Well, we all share a spectrum of emotional cartographies that runs through our bodies as we are mapping. The creation of a feminist counter cartography is personal as well as political, because it reflects not only a view of the world, but also requires a process of introspection and reflection about our own personal geographical history. La siguiente, les pongo otro ejemplo. Es un dibujo que hice. This drawing, for example, is an exercise that I did in therapy, dance therapy, and I started to share this methodology of body mapping with GeoBrujas, maybe 8 years ago, to recognize the geographies of the body. Y más o menos lo que dice el texto ahí es, the first revolution in cartography starts in the body. Why? Pues porque queremos rediscovering, o sea, queremos descubrir muchas cosas. Y una es rediscovering the root, preserving the memory, rewave the world, to retake one voice, banish violence, to conjure the stigmas, no, to gestate the rebellion, germinate the art, create alternatives, inspire creativity, and solve autonomy for build self-management. Son como ideas que han surgido en estos procesos de talleres. Y acá me gustaría decir que, bueno, a feminist cartography upends our emotions when, through its visual narrative, it reveals to us the social dilemmas by using colors, graphics, images, symbols, drawings, or data that go beyond a reference or a point on a map. And all of these elements combined allows us access to emotions during the intercreativity process, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, pues hay mucho trabajo por acá, y en esta siguiente imagen, que es un ejemplo también de cartografía feminista. En GeoBrujas, we are old school. We continue creating maps with a traditional manner, with paper and pencil, invoking art and intervening in public spaces. Learn the application of feminist cartography to make denouncements, to analyze and reflect in order to create a performance, but also to inspire others to speak up, always taking care of each other. And this is where mapping becomes an important safety tool that allows us to understand place and space. Entonces, bueno, si quieres ahí lo dejo, Gaby, seguimos.
Thank you. Gracias, Karla. So we wanted to share you a couple of examples of our work. The pandemic time allowed us to travel around the world, or in different parts of the world. But we, before the pandemic, we work also local and in presence, because it was important for us to be with the people and to have these sensitive moments together. And during the pandemic, we had to explore other methodologies to get these sensitive movements, despite the distance and despite the isolation. And so one example, these are so different examples that we share with people in different countries. We have always kind of rhythm in our workshops. We start always with an sensitive part, and with to build a confidence, to build trust between the different people, and to know each other, not just saying where are you from, or what are you studying, or where you work, or we look always for other ways to know each other. For example, thinking about some dinner you want to eat, or something that you like, a plant, or something that remembers you to your grandmother, or things that are very intimate maybe, but that let us go to the to the heart of the people, and so know each other. And we will show you this this example of contour mapping. I don't know where to start. This is a Padlet. Maybe I have to change my screen, I think. Yeah. Wait a minute. Okay, here, yeah. This, for example, this workshop was in Mexicali. Mexicali is a city in the frontier of Mexico and the United States. And there we work with a group of different women. They were studying something together, so they knew each other already. But what we started with a body mapping that can be seen here as these little pictures with objects and with clothes. And this body mapping was individual, so each woman had to think about objects and about colors that represent them, and so to build with these objects and with these clothes a body or something like a body that represents them. And after that, we asked them to situate them in this in this map of Mexicali, and to write in these little papers, post-its, to write places of where women come together, places that are dangerous maybe, or are not great for them for gender reasons, and so also where are the places where they feel well and they find networks to be safe and to be to take care for each other. And this was the result. We worked with Miro, a platform, and so we built in this map a kind of multi-scalar or multi-scalar representation of the space, because we have there the body mapping, but we have also the networks between all these different women. And then we asked them at the end to put a name for this map, and they said it is Mujeres Fuertes Soñando y Resistiendo en Mexicali. It means like a strong woman dreaming and resisting in Mexicali. So it is just an example for things that we do. We also work with environmental issues, always with this dimension of sensitiveness, of feelings, of emotions, but also with a critical view of the power relationships beside all these problematics. So just to close maybe, so that you can make some questions. I have something else.
Si quieres, ahí compartimos otro par de ideas y ya.
Yeah. Okay, just to say, I have to read it. When we are researching or when we facilitate a workshop with feminist methodology, these methods imply emotions and processes that go beyond the data and the information that we compile to create a map. There are sensations and feelings that convey the information represented in feminist cartography. This type of mapping can begin to show the spatial segregation that exists due to discrimination of gender, the territorial inequalities, the multiple structural violence that passed through the body of women, and the historical subordination of their presence in public life. So I will end with this kind of conclusions, but Karla will share a couple of ideas, and then we close so that you can ask us whatever you want to ask. In this all these years that we have been doing these workshops and working with different kind of groups and contexts, these are some ideas that we think are important doing this kind of counter cartography or alter cartography. Firstly, trust, to build this confidence, this trust between the people that come to your workshop and the group that make this workshop. In our case, it is easy when they are just women, because we are also women and we come from a similar context, so it is easy, but it is not always easy. So it depends of these dynamics and also the conditions of the space where you have your workshops, so that you can build this trust and this empathy. For us, it is important to work with this sensitive dimension, no? To have this sensitive experience. Very important is also this kind of situated thinking, so that you can always do your workshops. So we don't have, for example, we don't have one workshop that is always the same. We have methodologies, but we see always the context and change the methodologies depends of this context. So it is also important not to stay in this field and experience, just like a therapy or something like this. We have also to think about the reality we are living in and the power relationships in the reality. Our objective is always to imagine together these other realities that we can build together as women or as young people or as workers or whatever the group is with you are working with. Very, very important is also to be flexible, so that you can change your methodologies, or you can change the things you have planned in your workshop when you see that it doesn't work, or when you see that the people need other things, so that you can really listen to these needs, the things that the people need. And we also tried always to do this multi-scalar analysis, that we don't forget that we live in different scales or dimensions, and that we can go through these different dimensions in our analysis of this relationship between gender, space, and when we are working these workshops. So, Karla, ¿quieres agregar alguna cosa?
Sí, claro, pues quería decirles que we believe that it cannot move towards the collective, the community, the interconnectivity amongst networks of women and social mobilization. We believe that technology is a great tool that can bring us closer in this time of social distancing, como ahora ya todo es a distancia. It allows for us to create maps in an instant and to visualize many situations, problems, and in which way. So, yo quisiera cerrar con que también we also speak of feminist collectives mapping and supporting other communitary geographies. Maps themselves also have to be decolonized and must be anti-racist, anti-patriarchal, and anti-neoliberal. I think that this is where the feminist counter-cartography should go. This is what I have learned with GeoBrujas. Whenever we design a workshop or share a methodology, we learn together. No? discuss challenge and dialogue about them. We also learned a lot from other collectives that are definitely a reference when we talk about feminist mapping. For example, the Geochicas, our comrades from Geografía Crítica Ecuador, and the comrades Morras Socioterritoriales in Mexico. There are so many women-led geography-based projects raising up because we feel that this is where feminist counter-cartography has to go, supporting collaborative process and communitary cartographies that are autonomous, independent, and with social funded in solidarity. Ahí cerraré. Gracias.
Gracias.
Sorry, I was not quick to open the audio, so thank you so much for the presentation, and I don't know if there are questions from the public. Otherwise, I mean, I think you can. No, they cannot hear you from here. But by the way, so thank you so much. For me, only a small comment before going ahead with the questions. I think we saw today two really different methods to develop mapping, no? And so on one side here, you need to speak from here. And so from one side, maybe more technical, and from another side is that more emotional and workshop and even really political in some sense, for sure. And both of them actually. So it's a base ground of this kind of mapping. And but for me, it was really impressive. So the differences that you can develop from a same framework, similar approach, develop different methodologies, and then gain a similar objective or aim somehow: empowerment, empathy, group creation of group, participation. So this, I think, it's an interesting thing on which even as technicians somehow, because most here are, I think, come from a technical background, can think about and work in their mind, working on the even really technical issues. Yeah.
Hi, I don't know if you can see me. Hi, thank you so much to both of you for the presentation. It was very, very inspiring. And I have a quick question related to the women that were involved in the workshop. And I was interested in know how did you involve these women? And it was like an open call, did you, or something more, related to women that you already knew, or you published in some way this workshop? And this is basically my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. ¿Contesto yo, Karla?
Someone else wants to ask a question, we can collect them, or we go on and then go. It's
Okay.
okay.
Should I answer or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, there are different occasions, but mainly we have been asked for do these workshops. For example, people at the university that know us, they ask us to do these workshops with students, or sometimes are part of processes of research, like the case that Helena was talking about, that it was the thesis de licenciatura, I don't know how it is, diploma or something like this, the thesis from Frida. So there were already a process of confidence and work with these people. So this was the context this time, but always is an invitation. And sometimes we have done indeed so open call to the workshops, and sometimes we have also do invitations to people that we know and we want to work with them. So are different possibilities to come to the people or to come to these women. Yeah.
Any questions?
They are coming.
Hello, hi. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting, and interesting methodology. What I wanted to ask you was about, besides all the team building and the capacity to bring forth maybe a shared project, a shared vision, I guess that these methodologies are also able or susceptible to bring about maybe conflict or frictions. So I would like to know something more about this. And a second maybe related question is about gender and the feminist, the definition of these workshop as feminist, and if you found maybe ways of understanding and constructing gender that was not aligned to what you expected that could be useful in building the workshops. Thank you.
¿Quieres que responda, Gab? Ok, a ver, si entendí las dificultades, ¿no? Y un poco características. Ok, bueno, feminist has been a historic struggle about women's rights, ¿no? Empezamos de ahí. It is important that the coordination of projects that generate manuals or documentation of materials about feminist cartography be done by the feminists themselves. The activists, the activist protectors, and social justice warriors also form part of this mapping process. And I feel that feminist cartography should not be seen as a trend, no, it's rather as a historical and political necessity. We need to break the many things in the methodologies. Also, we have problems because there are different necessities, and also we need to analyze the context, no, of each place. One methodology is not copy and paste to other place and it's the same. Never. All the spaces and all the projects have, well, all the persons and all the communities and all women, we are different and have different necessities, and this is a problematic for create a methodology and apply it, and then to have a guide, or no sé cómo decirlo, sí, como una guía que nos to have this possibility to share something that be util, no, have that be functional for the persons for what they are doing. So no sé qué más. Ahora, now the feminist counter mapping are our tools of the enunciation and expression of our bodies. So our bodies are where our emotions are valid, and the imagination, the art, join in a dialogue amongst the paper and pen and drawing and the data and technology. And also we have this mix of possibilities for create different things. No sé si respondí más o menos la idea, pero Gaby, si quieres agregar algo.
Yeah, I'm also not so sure if I understood the whole questions, but about conflicts, what is maybe not conflicts, but it's not so easy sometimes, it is that all these feelings that are removed maybe are very strong feelings, or the people have very strong or difficult experiences that comes out. So we take care of that and we think always our workshops to have a moment of closing, a moment of apapacho, we said. Apapacho is a word in Spanish that comes from Nahuatl and means to, ¿cómo se dice abrazar? Abrazar. ¿Cómo es?
Hug, maybe.
Eso, abrazar con el corazón.
Okay, hug with your heart, maybe.
Ajá. Yeah.
But in English, you're welcome. Abrazar con el corazón, hug with your heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, and that's a final moment when we try, and I think it has worked. We try to calm down these emotions, and always to give people the sense of being not alone, and to want to do other things for other people, to be not alone. We try also when we work, for example, with environmental issues that could be also very depressive. We try to come to a message of hoping, or hope, or to hope, and also not just hope as okay, it will be good in some way, but hope in a sense of we can do something together to make it better. Yeah, this is the way we solve these things with the people in a workshop. Conflicts between us, we have a lot, but we tried always to speak a lot with each other, and that each conflict can be solved respecting our difference and respecting our different histories also, and ways of ways to see the things, but because we are not we have not the same political trajectories, and so, but it is something that we love from our community, that we can learn a lot of our difference, and we can learn a lot of each other. So, yeah, we have to go soon. So I don't know if there are more questions. Yeah.
There's another question, but also if someone wants to know more about what we are working, you can send us an email, geobrujas@gmail.com. Bueno, en inglés es igual. So you can send us a message and we can share some things that we have. Also, we have an article in this book that is called Activist Feminist Geographies. So we work together some of our methodologies, and it's here if you want to look at this.
Can I do a quick question, or you're going, or, and I don't know if is there anyone in the room coming to ask you?
There is time for one question, one more question.
Okay, okay, very quickly. Yeah, I really appreciate your presentation. It was very interesting. Like, I found it very 3D, like super multi-scale. And talking about the fact that, I mean, we're living in several crises. For instance, feminism, environmental, social issues, colonialism, as you were mentioning, are a lot of issues we're facing. For instance, a few days ago, I bumped into this queer mapping, which is called Queer the Map, which is very an interesting reality related to the LGBT plus community. And I was wondering, like, if you think there is a way of interconnect all the kind of fights to bring together all this topic of activism. or if you have any suggestion or experience in relation with the other, for instance, feminism, and other kind of fights.
A ver si entendí bien, Francesco. Puedo.
I think that the audio was not so well, so I'm not so sure.
Nosotros también no escuchamos bien la pregunta, Nicola.
Maybe
Dalbi.
you can repeat, write in the chat or repeat very
Okay,
brief.
I'm sorry. It was
No,
No, don't worry, it's a microphone issue, I think.
so Gabriela, you didn't hear the question. Okay. No, my question was how can different kind of topics, for instance, the feminist topic, the anti-colonialism, the environmental topic, can be linked together, and because I really appreciate the multi-scale approach you had, and I'm wondering, like, how can these topics connect? If you have any experience, or thank you.
Ok, creo que, bueno, lo que dices es cómo se pueden, o sea, cómo pueden confluir diferentes como temas, ¿no? O sea, desde el
Esto.
feminista, decolonial, antipatriarcal, si tenemos como algún ejemplo. Entonces, igual puedes platicarle de lo que hicimos con las maps. Tal vez podría ser que era como de justicia climática y a la vez, no sé, o lo que tú quieras.
Claro, ya, sí, ya más o menos entiendo. A ver, y hasta tenía por ahí una presentación, estaba viendo eso ayer. Okay, well, yes, we have some experience about these different topics that, ¿cómo se dice, no? La palabra en español es interseccionalidad. En inglés, ¿cómo se dice?
En italiano lo mismo.
Intersectionality, so it's
Ah, perfecto. Bueno, eso. Partiendo si partimos de this kind of looking, no, of the different things that cross our bodies, that is the racism, the colonialism, the neoliberalism, the patriarchy. O sea, si vemos todo esto, we have an experience with maps that it's a collective in USA. I don't remember which places, but I remember that we're in San Francisco and also in Arizona. And these girls was working about this position in geography, critical about the racism. So we make a workshop with these women about the, no me acuerdo como el título, las footprints of the racism and the climate justice, algo así era, creo. And I think, no sé cómo decirlo, pero there are not separated these different systems of operation, no? So
if you want, we can make a simultaneous translation.
Ah, okay.
I can try, maybe.
Dalbi capisce.
Entonces, ¿les hablo en español o en inglés?
Okay, let's try this.
La credo che Dalbi lo capisce.
Okay.
A lo mejor es divertido. A ver, dimos este taller de Tras las huellas del racismo con compañeras de Estados Unidos y hemos aprendido mucho de los vínculos que ahora recién hemos tenido con defensoras y mujeres del feminismo comunitario. Eso es algo clave, el feminismo comunitario. Digamos que es la posicionalidad feminista crítica que nos ayuda a entender las desigualdades históricas y geográficas que vivimos las mujeres del hemisferio sur, ¿no? Entonces, estos mapeos que hacemos...
Pare, si no, no aguanto de traducir todo porque ya me olvido la parte inicial.
Okay.
So, if I remember well, they did work with a fellow geographer from United States, and they were working on the issue of climate justice, correct, and racism.
Sí.
Okay, and within this framework, they understood the positioning as women from the global south, and and I'm missing some parts for sure.
I can speak in English. Okay.
Okay.
We have this link with the different women of different territories. The first, there is a positionality, a critical positionality that is communitary feminines, but there are two different communitary feminines. One is from territory Maya Chinga, that it's in Guatemala and also in the south of Mexico, in Chiapas and also Tabasco. And there are different women that are fighting, and there are not only the Zapatist women, but there is a reference, a very important reference, no? The Zapatist movement, that it's las siglas EZLN. Here there is a position. Another one is the women that are talking about body territory. Body territory is a category that it's not from the academic, it's from the political struggles of women that are fighting and are putting their body in the mountains and the rivers and the coast in different places. So the other position of the feminist knowledge, it's in Bolivia with Adriana Guzmán, Jimena Tejerina, and these other women that are constructing a pedagogy, no recuerdo cómo sería en español, pedagogía del territorio. Sí, ¿no? Pedagogy of territory, popular education with the body as a space of resistance. But also we need to have a context of why these methodologies are creating different forms of way and have the research in and outside of the academic. The reality, it's also the extractivism, the dispossession, the racism that we are living, the women that we are in the south, no, in the south of Latin America, but in the sí, en el hemisferio sur también. Entonces, no sé, Gaby, si tú quieres agregar algo, o ya me estoy yendo por ahí con otras cosas.
Okay.
Sí, era más o menos lo que habían preguntado. Como desde dónde y cuáles eran las dificultades y eso.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe just to say that we see all these issues together when we talk about body territory, and we are talking about our relationship with the earth as a territory, with the community as a territory, with us as a territory. So we recognize that in these inequalities, these equalities are part of the patriarchat, are part of this this colonialization of our territories and our works. And so when we think about the struggle of feminism, the empowerment of women, we are also thinking about empowerment of our territories. So we see all this together. And it depends of the group with we are working with, or what are the main items. So we maybe work more with an item and not with the other, but we see all these together. Yeah.
I found something about this workshop that we do in the footsteps of racism, that we work with maps. This collective is, I don't know the meaning really, but it's maps era como Maps Against Power Resistance and Movements, something like that. It's the name of this collective in USA. And what we work with these girls was what is environmental racism? And we work contamination, dispossession, forced migration, discrimination, disappearance of environmental defenders in Mexico, America Latina, extractivism, establishment of mega projects, ethnic elimination, and capitalism accumulation. No? That were the thematics that we work with these women, and it was very interesting because we learned a lot. And also we have another experience, but well, before time we cannot talk more about this. Pues escríbanos por correo, ya les enviamos cosas.
Thank you very much. If you want, maybe you can share with us some material if you have further information you would like to share, not to take more time. But thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot to you, Helena and Gabby. We will wait for your materials so that the students even can look further in your works and you have additional material for sure. We'll be so happy to look at it and to share it together. The same for Edoardo and Francesco. Thank you, all of you, to be here, to stay here even up to 7:15. And for us that we organize these seminars, there is an important issue in this, no, a little bit external to the university path we try to develop and to structure. What is this one? It's the idea that solutions are not the same for all places. No, solutions are not the same, so methodologies you can apply are not the same for each place you go. And even to start and work with for like new generations of engineers or sociologists, the same, is the thing to start and work together, to start and develop things together, to start and find a common path in which you can know, learn from each other, and have an interdisciplinary, really interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary attitude of working as a scholar, as a technician on territories. Because what is the issue is that civil engineers, environmental engineers will go and work on territory, on land, on water path, on projects or on infrastructures, no? And what lives there from an environmental point of view, biological ecosystem point of view, from a human and more than human point of view, it's an important issue that sometimes we forget to take in account, to focus on, to understand. And so that doing this kind of transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary workshops, it's a way in which it's important to train ourselves, to open our minds, and like, no, everybody, all other scholars, other students from maybe human studies say to us, we are like this, no, like so focused and look at the best solution, most performative solution. No, it's not like that. It's the idea to open your mind, open your view, and look towards like a more interdisciplinary and intersectional, the same perspective and approach. This is why this one is the second seminar. See you next month for the last seminar, and hope you enjoyed and have a good evening and so on.
Yeah, we have to go. Thank you for listening.
Thank you
and
so
for the
much,
invitation.
Gabriela and Helena.
Bye.
Yeah, next meeting is yeah. It will be a little more technical and applied, so here, but with international and local context. So we will see some application in international cooperation projects, but also in maritime and urban context, so in maritime cities in the Mediterranean. If you have any issue, question regarding credit recognition, the certificate of attendance, etc., here I am. You can write me an email or to me or to Ada and Susanna. So that's it. Remember to sign, but you already signed the attendance. And thank you for coming here.
Thank you again.